once you've made the 5 rectangles, then it's time to start the first link. And I am using another length of the 30-inch length of the fire line, and I'm using a peanut bead as a stop bead because it's contrasting from the other beads that I'm using, and it's just easy to use it. And I went through it twice, and I left enough room at the end of the string to tie back into the link once I'm done, and I zip it up. So the links are 4 beads wide. So you're going to start your even flat peyote stitch, and after stringing the first 4, you come back through and just pull it all tight. The first few rows in peyote stitch are the hardest to get going, but once you get a couple of rows down, it's really much easier, and it goes very quickly. So there's the first row, and then just flip it over and add 2 more beads to make the next row. Now, smoke fire line has a coating on it, and as you work with it, it tends to come off on your hands. I don't know if you can see the dark. Some beaders will try and wipe it off with maybe a wet paper towel or something, but I just work with it, and I don't worry with the coating. I just wash my hands when I'm done. It takes too much time to try and work with trying to get it all off, and I've heard some people say that they think it makes the line harder to work with. It actually tangles more easily when you do that, so I just go with it the way it is. Now, one step to make this go just a teeny bit faster is to put the first bead of the row on, and then before pulling the thread all the way through, do the second one, and that way when you pull the thread through, both of them are there. So that makes it work up a little bit faster. And since there's only 4 beads in a row, there's no real issue with the tension getting messed up by doing that. I wouldn't recommend it if you had more than just a few beads in a row, but it sure is a time saver. So keep doing that until you've done 22 rows, and then you can zip the link together. Alright, I have 22 rows of my band here that I'm going to use to create the link to attach them. I'm going to go ahead and remove the stop bead, and you can see the ends here will zip together, and you can just sew them together just like a zipper. So you zip those together, you put your link on there and your other link, and then you just zip them together. And I again will work the threads through, and I will have both threads coming out the same bead on either edge, and tie them together to tie it off, and that way it's more secure. You don't have to worry about tying off 2 different threads, and the threads are together, so it's not going to come apart. So that's the first link, and you can see how nice and bubbly the beads, the triangle beads, come together, and it creates a nice texture. And next we're going to do the loop end of the toggle clasp. Okay, the loop end of the toggle clasp, you start out just like a link. It's 4 beads across, and you do 16 rows this time. And then you zip the base of the loop together around the last link, and you just zip it together like you do for the links. And this time, instead of working the thread through the tail end, I'm going to leave it, and I will finish it after I finish the loop. So I'm going to go back in a couple of times just to get a nice secure base here to my loop end. Just weave it through a couple of times, get it nice and there. So come to the end, and I'm coming out the triangle that is aligned with the triangle that has the tail end of the thread coming out, and I'm going to add beads to create the loop to come around. And there are 25 beads in the loop, and you have to use an odd amount of beads. You can reduce it and do 23 or 21 or even 27 if you want the loop to be bigger, but in order for the spacing and the peanut beads that garnish the edge to work, you have to have an odd amount of beads. So I'm going to string 25 beads. 24, 25. Okay, now bring it down and come in the same triangle bead that has the tail end of the thread coming out, and just pull it tight, and you can see that's the beginning of the loop. Now work your way through the triangle beads here and come out next to where you started the thread for the loop there. Okay, now you can do the peyote stitch with the triangle bead, and there's one layer of the triangle beads and then the garnish of the berry bead. So just go around. This helps build the structure of the loop. And just keep going around like that until you've done every other bead, or you've finished the peyote stitch, and you finish right here. Okay, I've gone all the way around, and I'm going to finish with my last bead coming into the band there. So you can see the very first row outside of the band is a double stitch, or you can see the two beads there in the peyote stitch, and you can see the two beads there, so it is balanced all the way around. Okay, now you're going to work your way through the band to the other side and then garnish it with a berry bead all the way around in the peyote stitch. Okay, I've worked it through the band, and I'm going to come up through the first bead here, and then I'm going to pick up the berry bead and just stitch it in there, and then go all the way around, one berry bead in each hole. And as you add the berry beads around the loop here, the edge of the loop starts to stand on end a little bit, and it makes it a little bit more rigid so that it can better hold the toggle and create the clasp. Okay, now I just need to work the thread through and work the tail thread through and bring them both together outside the same edge and tie them off together in a knot to bring them together and not have to worry about tying off two separate loose ends, and it will make it more secure to have it all tied together. Alright, now it's time to make the toggle end of the clasp, and you form a base with 16 rows just like you did for the loop base, and zip it together, and then this time you're going to go back in to position the thread in the center of the base, and keep the tail end loose because you're going to secure that at the end after creating the toggle. So we're going to first string 10 beads to create an extension for the toggle to fit securely into the loop. Alright, your link here that is connecting the extension to the toggle is ready, and set it aside. The toggle is flat even count peyote, 14 beads long and 5 rows wide. And once you get that done, then you'll zip it together, and again, it's just like a zipper. And just pull the sides together. After you finish zipping it, you'll want to go through a couple of times to reinforce and run the tail thread through and tie it off. After securing the threads in the toggle, you're going to attach it to the extension using the thread that is left over from the extension. Go through and secure the toggle, and then go back down through the extension and work your way through the base. Take the tail end of the thread and work it through the base and have them both come out at the same spot and tie them off together. That makes it more secure, and then you are done. There you have the May bracelet, wavy open rectangles done with size 10-0 Miyuki triangles and garnished with gold-plated berry beads.